Welcome, everybody, to the JJ and Pug Show. It is January 14th, 2025, episode 2 in the new year. It's crazy, man. We are
halfway through the month.
I still sign, I still sign everything 2024.
I know,
everything.
Right? It's
and
crazy.
I had to go back, cross it out, 25.
Yeah. It's weird that we're halfway through January.
You know what is really dumb is how old we truly are getting when every year it's like, oh my gosh, it's that year.
Dude, I turned 39 this year. I'm like, oh crap.
Dude, I'm right behind you, man. Like, it's one of those things where you know what? I'm going to take these off because they always give me those stupid rings.
Oh, the rings, yeah.
Freaking drive me nuts. I'm like, the other day I was, taking a shower because that's when you do all your deepest thinking, right?
Yeah.
Is when you're in the shower.
Of course.
And
Singing
I'm like,
and thinking. Dude.
Exactly. And I was like, I don't want to do a show, but I was like this close from texting, like, all right, who's your trainer? I'm gonna reach out to him. So I actually reached out to my buddy whose wife is a trainer, and when I asked him what she does, I'm like, okay, that's not exactly. I don't want to do that. So I was like, I got to find somebody else because I'm like, I got to do this. And to make matters even more extreme for me, my wife's C-section was originally scheduled for the 28th of February.
Right.
So I had 2 months. They just moved it up to February 7th.
That's a big change.
It's a big change. And the reason why they did is, and
is that 40 weeks to 37 weeks?
36.
So that's okay. At least it's still considered somewhat full term.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
The thing that's concerning is, and I'm going to get this wrong, I'm almost positive what they said is she's got cholestasis, which apparently is the thing where your liver stops functioning well.
Really?
Because the baby's setting, like the position of it is pushing down on the liver. And because of that, they're like, we don't mess with that. If it gets worse, like they told us today, we went in there for the checkup, took another blood draw. Like, if it's worse, then we may have to do even earlier, which,
it's fine, but not fine.
It's not great. I mean, my boy, Benton, he was born at 33 weeks. He and his sister, because they're twins. And
That's a long, that's probably, isn't that anything past 32 weeks with twins they'll do?
Considering with twins, they say 36 weeks is full term with twins.
Right.
And so they weren't that bad, but at that point, Shalay had been in the hospital, checked in for like 3 days at that point because she was dealing with another thing, which I can't remember what it's called right now. I'll remember it 30 minutes from now while we're talking about something. Yeah, exactly. Completely different. Basically where her body started to swell. And it got to the point really bad where they checked her to the hospital. And after a couple of days, they're like, all right, we're going to have to deliver because this is not getting better. Anyway, so here we are. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not going to reach my goal in 3 weeks. So
screw it. Eat all the food you want.
Eat it all, man. I'm eating all the sourdough. By the way, dude, when are you going to deliver on your promise, man?
I forgot. I think I'm like 4 loaves right now, and Allie's starting another starter. So she's going to make 3 more loaves here soon, or whatever she does. So.
I should have texted you. I thought about it today.
You should have said something.
Yeah, I was actually going to text you. I was thinking about it because I was going to make myself a sandwich. I didn't, and I was like, you know what? I need to text Jason right now to make sure he brings a little. I forgot.
You should have, yeah. Because I haven't had it. It's still frozen, and and today was one of those days where if you would have texted me and reminded me, I would have remembered. But I had to change Allie's oil on her truck. I had to do the gym thing, and just by the time I got started, and then I hate when you're not at work, but then work calls and it takes up, or you're texting and you're trying to figure out a situation, and it's like, I'm supposed to be in the gym right now, and I'm sitting in the car for 30 minutes trying to figure out what to do with this or whatever, right? So you're just like, whatever. It is what it is, but
yeah, it is just a fact of life. It's a factor,
But I refuse to give up my gym time, so everything else can wait. Yes, everything else can get pushed back. Like, I think I changed Allie's oil in less than 30 minutes. Like, from putting it up on the ramp to pulling it off the ramp and resetting it all, which doesn't take a lot of work. It's just got to get at it.
It's really just a matter of how fast the oil will drain. That's about the only thing that outside of that, it's like, okay, pull the plug.
Yeah, she's got a skid plate I got to take off, but other than that,
really?
She's got it's a rubber, or not rubber. It's like a thick, almost like a carpet, but not, but that covers all that area. So it's like 5 little star screws, whatever those are, and it comes off, and then everything's all right there, perfectly exposed. My truck, on the other hand, your Ford. Have you ever changed the oil? I wonder what year's your Ford?
21.
So I wonder if it's different. I'd like to see, because dude, it is a giant pain in the butt to change it on my 16 Ford, because the filter, the oil itself is fine,
right.
But the filter is like up in an area, right? So like, it's like this way, and you have to like have an extension. So I have to like attach this little piece because you can't get leverage. There's no way I can get enough leverage.
Yeah.
So I had to buy this thing that goes on the end of like a socket set, and then I had to have an extender to get the leverage to get it to turn. And then and then you're worried like, it's going to all drain out. Now what do I do with it? So for a long time, I tried to catch it like a funnel. I was doing all kinds of dumb stuff. And then my buddy, who was a Ford mechanic for a while, he's like, no. There's actually a drain plate right there. Just pull it off, let it go. It'll go run down. It'll come out of a spot right underneath where the oil comes out. Really? And it'll jump drains down. And then he goes, when you're done, just take some brake cleaner, spray up in there with a ton of brake cleaner and run it all down. It'll be good to go. And I'm like, really?
That's also really stupid.
It is really stupid.
It's really stupid that I have to do all of that.
Yeah, but I did it the last time and it was freaking perfect. But I'm like, why do I have to do all this with her Escape, the Ford Escape? It's literally the filters right here, oil pans right here. Like that comes off, this drops right down. No time at all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that kind of crap bothers me. First off, I don't change the oil in either one of my cars because I don't want to mess with the warranty that exists.
Well, yeah, that's different.
I don't touch it.
Under warranty.
So once the warranty's over with, then we get back to work, right? But every car I'd had up to that point, I would always get super pissed off, mostly at non-domestic vehicles. So anything that was Japanese made,
Toyota.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Anything that wasn't a United States designed car, because getting to the oil filter, getting to anything like that was next to impossible to do because they were so compact and small. I used to always brag about like, hey, the American vehicles, we know how to work on them. That has completely changed.
No, it's changed on American too, for sure.
Completely changed. I remember the very first time I had to go and jump my brother. My Chalet for a while was driving an Acadia. Mm-hmm. It was a 2009 GMC Acadia, right? And this was, before the kids. So this was 2015, right? And I think we got it in 2012. So, for about that time, I had never had to do anything on this thing, again, under warranty. And then my brother's like, hey, I need a jump. Can you come get me? I'm like, yeah, I got you. I go over there, pop the hood. Nowhere I can't find the battery anywhere. It's behind the passenger seat in the ground.
Oh yeah, in the floor.
So they have like these jump spots up underneath the hood that I hadn't known anything about this because I'm like, dude, the battery's got to be right here. Just things like that where I'm like, who thought of this? Like this is so stupid. Nobody in their right mind without being. Obviously you got to look up YouTube. Check out how do you jump a 2009 G Acadia?
But what did you do before YouTube? Like, why did this stuff ever happen? I have no idea because I had to do that stuff with Allie's car. She's got her battery in her Ford Escape. She's got a 14 Escape, right? Yeah. The battery itself, you can jump. It's all right there. But to take the battery out and replace it, you have to take off like the windshield wiper. You have to take off the windshield wipers and then take off a little tray, and it comes off. And it's not hard. It's just why?
Yeah, because nobody knows how to do this. Like we've been taught how to take care of a car our entire life. Next thing we know, they're going to change the way you change a tire.
And you know what? Let me tell you this. I don't like AutoZone people. And here's why. Because they look at me like I'm less of a man. Because I can't I don't know how to do this. I'm like, bro, I'll pay you to do it, dude. Because they'll look at me like, well, you don't know how to do that? No, I don't work at AutoZone,
this is not my job.
No, like, listen, I don't care. You want me to pick something heavy up, bro? I can probably do that for you, right? We all have our strengths and weaknesses. My mom could do a ton of stuff on a car. I'm like, listen, I don't even care to want to know. I'm not a car guy. But for the crying out loud, don't look at me like I'm an idiot or I'm less of a man because I don't know how to like get a tool and wrench something open. I'm like, bro, listen, I'm just not that guy. Like, I'm just not.
Dude, it's the same thing. Okay. Talking to a friend of mine, right? I don't want to out him because I don't know if he wants to be, but it was one of those things where... No, this is definitively not Carl, and you'll know what I mean as I go through this. And he basically talking about how the fact that he can't stand how his brother, who is he is a contractor. This is what he does. He builds cabinets. This is his life, right? He's created a life for himself, being able to build custom cabinets. And anytime that my brother goes, or his brother goes to do something, he gets his other brother. What? Where am I at?
You're all over the place.
Okay.
All we're trying to do is figure out who your friend's brother's
builds
brother.
Cabinets. Yes. So anytime that my friend, I'm so lost because I'm trying to like protect identities. I have no idea where I was.
Call your friend like Bill. Give me different names.
So Bill's brother William.
There you go.
Bill and Will, right?
There we go.
So Bill says, "Hey, Will, I need you to come over because we need to, fix something in the house, like drywall." And Will will be like, "You don't know how to do that?" And all the while, Bill's like, by the way, the friend is like, F you, dude.
Yeah.
You'd have no idea how to do what I do. And I make a lot more money doing what I do than you do. I don't give you crap for that. Like, you don't got to give me crap for this. Like, listen, we have our different strengths. We go into different areas. This is what I do. That's what you do.
Just don't make me feel like less of a man about it. Just like, I get it. You can say, hey, I'll teach you. Maybe you should teach me, Mr. Know-It-All. Why don't you show me?
Or listen, I am paying you to do this.
Yeah.
Just do it.
How about you just show up and do it? I don't need to be ridiculed or made fun of. Just say, hey, listen, if I'm giving you something, if I'm paying you money, just knock on the door. I'll show you what to fix. You fix it. I don't need you to say anything to me about why I don't know how to fix it.
Listen, there's a reason why handymans are a thing.
Yeah.
Because you know how to do it, and I'm going to pay you to do it. So just do it.
And there are certain things I'm not willing to do.
Yeah. Like, so this is the thing that I say this to people. Listen, I'm capable. I can do what it is I want to get done. But guess what? It's going to take me so much more time to do it.
Anger.
Anger. Oh, so much more anger.
Oh, man.
It's going to take me so much longer. It's going to take me probably a little bit more money because I'm going to screw up. And it's also going to, again, raise my blood pressure to a point where it's unhealthy for me. If I just go and pay you to do it, it'll get done. I used this example recently. Well, not recently, probably within the last year. I dug a hole in my backyard to put the trampoline in. Okay. So I rented the excavator. I went out there and I did it. It literally took me all day long to dig this hole right. And at the time when I was done with it, I'm like, by the cost that I paid to rent this excavator, the time it took me to do it, I could have just paid a guy to come in and do this. I would have taken him 2 hours, and it would have cost me less money because I wouldn't have had to rent the stupid equipment for so long. Not to mention, my own time is worth money.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wasted it doing this, all because I wanted to say I did it myself. Not worth it.
No,
not worth it.
You know, I get real frustrated doing plumbing things. Because plumbing, I am not built to be a plumber. Like, I'm just not. Like, I'm too big to bend down and get underneath the cabinet.
Oh, dude, trying to get underneath the kitchen sink.
Like, the kitchen sink. I have an RO system, right? And there's these filters you have to replace every so often. And I swear to, like, my mother-in-law was over one time when I was like trying to do this, and I'm like just swearing like a fool, bro. Like and they're like, my kids are like, he does this when he's plumbing, when he's underneath the sink. It's just because, dude, I can't, like, you know, you're trying to like position yourself, like you can't just sit underneath the sink because you know you got cabinets and stuff here, so you can't do any of that stuff. So you're sitting there trying to get all up in here, and then there's no leverage at all to do anything with these stupid filters. And then, heaven forbid, you thought you turn off the water. This happened to me once. Thought the water was off, dude. I popped this pull, and it just starts shooting water down, and I'm like, you know, the underneath the sink, I gotta buy another like piece of plywood and put it under there and just screw it in because it's like it like sinks in the middle, dude. Because it's been wet so many times, dude. But I don't even care. It just makes me so mad. I hate plumbing, and I got a brother-in-law that's a plumber, and he is, you know, he's just taller, but he's real skinny. He gets into these little places, and I'm like, John, I don't know how you do it. Like, I just can't do it.
My neighbor. Freaking love this guy. He's like the best neighbor. Everybody hopes to have a neighbor like I do. Okay, Jared, freaking love you, dude. I don't think he listens, but whatever. He's one of those guys, always ready and willing to help if you need anything.
Yeah.
He's a plumber. He's a really good plumber. Okay. So
God bless him.
Anytime that there's a problem that's going on in my house, like, hey, Jared, how do I do this? He may not have time to come and do it for me. Be like, oh yeah, I got the tool. It's right here in the garage. Go and get it. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
I am smaller than Jared. Okay. He's not exactly taller than me, but he's a real big guy. Right. Every time that I get underneath the kitchen sink and I have to do something, I'm like, how does Jared, his hands, he's got freaking bear mitts. Like, how does he get those things up into these tiny spots? And this is what he does for a living. I have no idea.
I could never. It would just drive me crazy.
But the one thing is like, listen, these are the types of industries kids need to get into because
we need more.
We need way more, and they make good money. Because they are in high demand.
Exactly, and everybody's saying, "Oh, these blue collar jobs, they don't pay." No, these you can work concrete, electrical, plumbing. Like, these things are huge.
I'll tell you this right now: the most financially independent, I'm not exactly meaning wealthy, but the people that are like, hey, they're in the best financial situation and probably also the happiest people I know, guess what they do?
Construction.
Dude, they work all day.
And they make good money.
They make good money. But the other part about working all day is they're probably healthier than most people I know. Because they're actually physically working.
Functionally work. Yeah, there's functional fitness.
That doesn't mean that their diets are always great. Because a lot of them are like, hey, I got to suck up circle cakes. I got to get to the job site. Nothing's open at 4 a.m., especially in the summertime when you have to be at the job at 4 a.m.
You're working at 2 a.m. You work from 2 to 12 and you got to get out of there.
I still remember we were driving, me and the kids, we were getting ready to go to a long trip to Montana. We go every summer. And we leave here at the house at about 4 a.m. We get to Circle K to fill up, and Circle K is bustling at 4 a.m. in the summertime, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Benjamin's like, Dad, why are all these guys here? It's so early. I'm like, they're going to work. They're filling up the ice chest and making sure they got enough water and ice for the rest of the next couple hours.
So they don't die.
Because even at 4 a.m., it's 85 degrees. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's cold.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's what you want to start
at.
That's
a cool area. Yeah, we get in the late summer, July. It's still 93 degrees at 4 a.m.
Dude, it's rough. By the way, I forgot to do this. This is your selection. This is Derek Cate, Man in the Mirror.
It's a remake, and it's all acoustic from Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror song.
And I never heard it. He does a great job. Listen to this guy.
Yeah,
it kind of sounds like Michael Jackson.
Right. And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, because you listen to, I have iTunes music, right? So after your playlist goes out, it kind of just randomly picks stuff.
Yeah.
And I heard this song and I'm like, dude, this is no joke.
Yeah, it was good, man.
Like, I'm like, all right, because I like Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror song to begin with.
It's a good song.
So, and then you start to hear the acoustic, and he's got a variety of just remakes that he does. He's got some of his own singles too, but most of his stuff that I liked was all just covers.
I'm a sucker for a good cover.
Yeah, especially an acoustic cover.
One of the things that I can't stand is when you listen to covers and the band tries to make it sound exactly like the original. It's like, what am I listening to you for? Take a new take, man.
Yeah.
Give me a new vision of what the song was, because the original is already good. So give me a new sound to it. Like, you don't have to completely alter the song.
No.
But
we keep everything the same. Just change the melody to it, or write your own little spin on it.
One of my favorite bands of all time is Weezer. I freaking love Weezer. They came out with a full album of covers, and it's the worst album they've ever done, because it is, every song tries to sound exactly like the original. Like, nobody asked for this. This is garbage,
to be the cover. We already have that song.
Yeah, listen, if I want to listen to Africa by Toto, I'm not going to listen to Africa by Weezer when you try to sound exactly like Toto. I'll take the original because it was good then.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, make it sound a little bit different. Anyway, that's my little rant on that.
No, I get it. No, it's just a good, this is one of those times where we've talked about this with instrument playing, right? Like, you can't really bring a piano by a fire. I mean, you can, but it makes it a little more difficult.
A little bit harder.
A little bit more difficult. Pull out the old keyboard and the stand, you know what I mean?
Get the amplifier.
But this is the kind of music when you're sitting by the fire, you don't even have to sing. Just strumming on the guitar to the song. I wish I could learn to do this, and I'm just simply not, because I'm lazy.
See, as I say, you wish you could.
I could. I'm just choosing not to.
Also, let's peel back on the word lazy, because lazy would mean you don't do anything.
Right.
You do a lot of stuff that people don't want to do. The difference is this, I want to do this because I've already kind of figured it out, and the interest is there, and you already know you can do it. One of the hardest things for trying to learn any kind of new skill is when you first start it and you're not picking it up.
And you suck.
And sticking through the sucking part.
Yeah.
That is it's next to impossible for a lot of people at our age to pick up a new hobby or try and learn a new skill that you're not already have some sort of background in. Because if you're starting fresh, bro, we already do so many things in our lives. We already have so many interests that we've already kind of cultivated throughout this point. And I'm not talking like we're 60 years old.
No.
If you're not learning something at by 15, that's what I'm going to say. One of the hardest things to do is to learn a new language, past the age of 20. Because after that, you're already kind of pretty set in what you know, what you're going to learn.
Right. And that's Ava's playing the violin, right? She's 11, and she's got a new song, and it's I just hope she sticks with it, because I think the violin will translate to a guitar. It's roughly the same. I think there's 2 more strings that she'd have to know the notes to, and it's funny, she's the one that brings that up right now. She's like, but Dad, there's 2 more notes, and I don't know what they are, the strings, and I don't know if it's F or E. I'm like, what? You're speaking gibberish to me, bro. You could say there's 6 instead of 4, and you could have stopped right there, you know. But she's learning, which is really cool. But I do agree with you. I think when you get to a certain age, that's why they tell you to start your kids young in instruments or whatever, because it's just easier for them. Their brains are little sponges. They're growing. They're figuring it out.
Yep.
But and still, it's not that we're lazy. It's just I'm choosing not to find time. I can find time in my day to spend 20 minutes on YouTube learning how to play the piano or the guitar all day. If I really wanted to, it would not be hard.
Yeah, but the point is we've already talked about it. What's your time?
Yeah.
The gym.
Yeah.
Listen, I know what I'm doing at the gym. First off, it's healthy for you. So it's not like you're wasting your time doing nothing. It's actually a pretty good thing for you to do. And you know what you're doing. You know how to get it done. You feel like a stress release is being given. You have your own time. And we talked about this before. For me, it's on the stupid treadmill, playing Madden or any kind of Xbox.
It goes by fast that way.
Exactly. And I know what I'm doing. At least I'm not sitting still on the couch playing. It's my little justification, but like, okay, I'm actually getting a sweat in. I'm actually getting some exercise in. That's my time. Could I switch that to, you know what would be really great? Nintendo Switch has got these controllers that are 2 hands. Yeah. Like one over here and one hand, and you can like, it would be so much easier instead of having to like go back and forth. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Would it be a better thing if I said, you know what, I'm going to do Rosetta Stone instead and learn how to speak Spanish? Probably better.
But I don't think you can keep the interest. Like, I think you would be like thinking about it, but thinking about something else. Whereas when you lock into Madden or you lock into your time, you're going, oh shit, it's been 20 minutes.
Really, one of the things is I listen to podcasts while I'm doing it, and video games are so like, at least the ones that I play don't require a whole bunch of like computing in your brain. Yeah. You just kind of do what you do. And while I'm doing it, I'm listening to a podcast, and that's when I actually kind of absorb it. That when I'm driving. If I'm working trying to listen to podcasts, I'm not listening to my podcast. I'm working. So
anyway,
exactly. So all right, done accountability. Here's something that I want to talk about. It's funny. We're 20 minutes in and we're just now getting into the meat of what I want to say. This was one of what I was listening to today. It was on the, this is from yesterday's episode of the Breaking Points podcast. And they had Derek Thompson on, the guy from The Atlantic. You and I have talked about some of the things he's done before when he was on the Bill Simmons podcast. Mm-hmm. He does a podcast with Bill Simmons every year. And it's kind of like the future of everything. They just talk about all different sorts of things. This one, he just wrote an article for The Atlantic about how America no longer hangs out. And this is about a minute long, so listen to it and watching us on YouTube. Sorry, you're just going to have to watch us stare at each other while we listen to this.
We have records going back at least the 1960s that ask Americans, how much time do you spend face-to-face socializing? How much time do you spend alone? And Americans have never, on record, spent more time alone and less time in face-to-face socializing. You know, a lot of people are going to hear this and say, oh, this is mostly about COVID. No. Socializing declined in the back half of the 20th century between the 1960s and 1990s. Robert Putnam wrote a famous book called Bowling Alone, where he said, look, Americans are joining clubs less, they're joining associations less, they're bowling together less, they are bowling alone. A lot of people in 2000, when that book came out, said Robert Putnam is full of crap. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Americans are hanging out. They're going to hang out more than ever. But in fact, alone time just increased between 2000 and COVID. Of course, it shot up during the lockdowns. But according to one study by the Federal Reserve, we spent more time alone in 2023 than we did in 2021, the year that all those people got vaccinated and left their house, resumed life. Wow. So this is a 60-year problem. This is not a pandemic issue. This is a century-long issue that was briefly accelerated by the pandemic.
So I wanted to talk about this because I think this is wildly important, not just for us as adults, but more specifically for our kids. Okay? We're both dads.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most important things for me when I think about like my social development in my life was the time I spent with my friends. And that's not to take away from my parents. Obviously, you and I both talked about our moms and dads. Love my mom and dad, everything they did for me. I'm not going to, this is not a bash on them at all, or even my family, my brothers and sisters. But the time I spent with my friends is who made me become who I am in so many ways, in so many great ways. And the idea that America spending way more time alone is terrifying to me, because one of the things I hate about video games today, it's not video games. We talked about it just like 5 seconds ago, how much I play video games. Right. I hate that it's all online. You don't actually play with your friends.
Yeah, you don't have them all in the room, all like 7 consoles set up.
And screaming and yelling at each other, laughing at each other, making fun of each other, like actually spending time with your friends. Because one of the things that we used to do all the time growing up was, this is the way the days would go. We'd spend the afternoon after school on a Friday, we'd spend the day playing basketball or playing football out when the sun was out, okay? Mm-hmm. And then after that, this is kind of closer towards high school.
Those days.
I know, dude. And in high school, then after that, it'd be like, all right, hey, let's get the girls and let's go meet some girls, or bring our girls and let's go eat. We'll go find a place, go hang out at Sonic. That was kind of the thing that we did. We'd hang out at Sonic.
We had a Sonic.
Yeah. Everybody hung out at the Sonic,
of course,
right?
Man. Chili cheese tater tots, buddy.
Everybody would get a drink.
Chili cheese dogs, and drink. Oh, yeah.
Just chilling outside. And you see other cars roll up, yell at them, try and get to meet them, type of thing. And then after that kind of died down, then we would go back to a buddy's house. Joe McClain, your parents, Pete and Sherry, bless their hearts for allowing us to spend so much time at your house. And then we would play Halo all night. yelling at each other, ribbing each other. And that was what we did. And I'm still incredibly close with those guys.
Yeah.
Just like one of them lives in North Carolina. Still talk to him. We still text. He just got out here for Christmas. We went and had breakfast. And we are still super, super close because of the time that we spent together in actual social situations. And I worry that that's not going to be really available to my kids, not because they don't want to do it. It's because other kids don't want to do it and other parents don't want to do it.
I don't know. I feel like I have kids that are in high school and they still hang out a lot. They still go to friends' houses. They still do stuff. I think it's the crappy part for these kids more than anything, I think, is that nothing they do is not discoverable anymore because of the internet and because of what they do, right? You've got kids that think it's funny to post stuff online or to post stuff somewhere thinking, oh, no way, it's not going to go nowhere.
Having no idea the deep impact it may have.
Especially because everybody thinks, oh, social or Snapchat, it disappears. But that doesn't mean I can't Snapchat, screenshot it. Well, it notifies you. It doesn't mean I can't do it. It just notifies me that I've done it. And once you send a picture, you send something funny, a video, anything that's like on the little side of shady, I guess, to one person, that one person now says it to 10, then it becomes 100, then it becomes 1,000, just like that. Yeah. Right. So these kids now, they do hang out, but you wonder how much they're like, I'm so glad we didn't have phones.
I know.
Dude, I can't even imagine.
Snake. That was our phones. Didn't even have cameras.
I can't even imagine the crap. If I would be like, oh, dude, we can't. I don't even want I would want to burn all the phones, throw them in the bottom of the ocean. I don't want anybody to see what we did because we did some dumb stuff.
Yeah, the rule that Derek Jeter had. Anytime you went to a party at Derek Jeter's house, all the phones in a bag. Dude, you do not bring your phone past the door.
I'll tell you what, I go to Vegas every year with my buddies, right? There's 6 of us, we all go. We just went this last weekend and we have a rule, but it's not because we're not doing anything stupid, but it's like, dude, we don't want everybody that, I guess we have to be careful because of our jobs, right? Right. But we're just out having a good time. I don't need photos coming out of nowhere or you don't need to be like, oh, remember that? Dude, it's just just stop. You don't need cameras. Just hang out.
Yes.
You don't see, we're not texting on our phones. We're not social meeting on our phones. We're literally sitting at a bar usually, just hanging out, watching people dance and watching mechanical bull, laughing hysterically. My phone stays in my pocket the entire time.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. The actual being present.
Yeah.
Okay, so Crystal Ball, who's a part of the Breaking Points podcast, her question to Derek Thompson right after he gave kind of the overview of what was going on, the purpose of his article, she asked, is the reason for all of this because of cell phones? And this was his response to that.
For literally every single demographic that the Bureau of Labor Statistics or the American Time Use Survey, which is run by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, studies, for every single demographic, face-to-face socializing declined and alone time increased. And if you want to know my answer for why this is happening, look, you can point to any number of phenomena that have happened over the last 60 years. Robert Putnam talks a lot about moral revolutions that happen in America. It's a worthy topic of conversation. I would look at 3 technologies. I think the car allowed us to privatize our lives. Mm-hmm. I think the television allowed us to privatize our leisure. And I think the smartphone allows us to privatize our attention.
The cell phone. Yeah. When I listen to the other two, I'm like, okay, there's definitely an argument to be made for TV. But one of my favorite things about TV, just past weekend, which we're going to talk about in part 2, bro, the NFL playoffs. I spent so much time on my TV with my buddies,
right,
watching the games. While true on tonight, when it's a Tuesday night, who's coming over tonight? Not many people. I mean, if it was the college football playoff, then maybe. But you know what I mean? It's like Tuesday night on a regular day. I'm going to be watching TV by myself because Shirley's got volleyball, so I'm going to be stuck at home, right? So yeah, but would I be doing something otherwise if I didn't have a TV? I don't know. Maybe I'd read a book.
Learning to play the guitar.
maybe I'd learn how to play guitar, right? or play the piano. But outside of that, okay, but the car, I think the car has made life insanely better. I would never want to get rid of the car. Phones? I kind of want to get rid of phones in a lot of ways because I look at that and I think, like you said, yeah, maybe kids hang out, but how much of that hanging out is stuck sitting next to each other, staring at a phone?
They're on the couch together, all sending each other reels, and they're not communicating. They're not. They're still in. But I think maybe you're right. Maybe the evolution's slow, right? It's just constantly getting worse. And as right now, they're in this phase of kids are just you're hanging out, but you're just. you're sitting on the couch, all 6 of you girls sitting on the couch or guys sitting on the couch, all looking on your phone. So are you really hanging out?
Yeah. Are you actually talking to each other? Are you actually like making jokes with each other, looking each other in the eyes? Or is it?
Yeah, no, you're not.
See, and that's the thing is like, okay, obviously the phones aren't, all the things that we can do on our phones, it's amazing. It's obviously not all evil, right? But there is a lot of concern I have with cell phones with kids. Because again, I look back to when you and I were a kid, the kids that had cell phones had an Nokia brick where you could play Snake on it, and that was it. You couldn't record anything. There were no cameras on it. The only thing it was really used for was calling mom and dad for a ride. Which
is the only thing kids should have phones for until they're like 13, 14.
I don't even know if it's that. Like, I would say...
I waited until 16 for social media. I'm an extreme. If you talk to anybody else, like I'm an extreme case. Most people don't wait that long. I didn't see a need for it. Like
I'm 100% behind you on this one.
Like friends your kids are going to be mad at you for a minute, but they're your kids. It's like, okay, they can be mad. I don't care.
That's kind of my job.
I'm raising them. I'm raising them right now. Like, when they get to 16, they are who they are. Like, there's not going to be much you can do. There's certain things I wish I could hold back, but all right, well, you go send them to public school. I get it. They're going to be exposed to it one way or another, but you can only control so much. But even music nowadays is becoming a problem. Like, dude, Taylor Swift, bro, like I'm listening to Ava. She's 11 singing a Taylor Swift song, and it talked about how she wanted to kill somebody. And she sang it out loud, and I stopped and was like, what are you listening to? And she's like, Taylor Swift. I said, not no more. Like, you don't need to listen to that. And she's like, what? Why? And I'm like, Taylor Swift country, I'm fine with. Like, her sweet, innocent, heartbreaking over boys stuff, that's fine. But you just saying you wanted to kill somebody. Well, she just saying she would. She didn't say she did. I'm like, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You're missing the point. I said, no more. And I looked over at the rest of the girls and stuff. I said, she's not to listen to the new Taylor Swift stuff. I'm sorry. T Swift, you can suck it right now. Because you're doing, I don't care what kind of mood she's in or what she's going through in her life, because she's an icon.
She is. She
no taking away any of that. I'm not discrediting her career.
Owns the world.
Right. But like her music choice right now and the dark place that she's in with her music is not okay for kids to listen to, in my opinion. You can do whatever you want. Your kids, you if you're listening and your kids, it's not a big deal. You're right. It's not a big deal for you and your kids. So good for you. But I'm not going to let my 11-year-old, who's at that last bit of impressionable age, right, where she's slow. Like any day she could become a woman, right, which is. You're just crazy. Speaking of which, have you seen Cammie lately, right? Have you really looked at Cammie?
I actually haven't seen Cammie in a minute.
Bro, I cannot believe how much of a young woman she is now.
Oh, dude. I feel that, honestly, dude, I feel that way every single time I see any one of your girls.
Dude,
when I see Allie, I'm like, you're an adult.
Oh, bro.
What the crap? When
She's
I see
out of
Lexi,
control.
I'm like, you're right behind. Like,
oh, yeah.
And I keep looking at these girls thinking, like, if it's funny how with certain ages and certain people, maybe it's because I'm friends with you and your kids are your kids. It's even kind of the same way, like in church, when, because I've been in taking care of like young men, young women for so long as part of my church calling, where I'm like, you're a child still. Like your girls are always going to be 10 and 11.
Right.
They're always going to be 10 and 11.
But they're not.
Ava's always going to be 6 to me.
Yeah.
But now when I see her, I'm like you said,
she's playing flag football.
I know.
And I'm so excited, bro. Can I just talk about that for a minute? I finally have a child playing football, and I don't even care it's flag. I'm like, I am so excited to go watch her play,
dude.
It's nuts. Even practice is fun to watch.
So rewinding back to the Taylor Swift thing,
yes.
I just wanted when you were saying that, my immediate thought was like, "And Earl's Got to Die."
Yeah.
Like, dude, that song was when we were that age,
right?
And we were all singing it.
But like, it's the way that it's said.
No,
I guess
it's totally true. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way.
I know.
I'm just trying to point out the fact that because I have the exact same reaction to so many things that Benton listens to, watches on TV, Kempsey listens to, because Kempsey's she's really into the music right now, dude.
Right.
And I really am I gotta pull back because, bro, when I was sitting in my room listening to Eminem at the age of 11, 12.
You see all these counters of reels like, hey, music today is such crappy trash. Meanwhile, me when I was 13, you dropped it like
I think about that one. I think of the Bloodhound Gang, The Roof,
dude.
You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals.
Oh, bro.
I had no idea what I was singing, but it was cool and it was catchy.
I think of
and when
some
Insane
songs.
Clown Posse was on the radio. I mean, like all of these things when I think about the age I was when I was listening to Limp Bizkit. because that was what was on the radio. I'm like,
about the nookie.
Yes, I had no idea who that was.
So I remember, everybody remember this song WAP that came out? It was Nicki Minaj.
Yes.
Terrible, right?
Oh my gosh.
But then when you think back, like I can't even remember the name of the song, but I'm telling you right now, I could sing every word of it. But I know what it is. It talks about my neck, my back.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, you start to think about that, you're like, there ain't no difference.
No,
there's no difference.
I don't know. There's a difference because here's the reason why I'll say there's a difference. Most of the songs we listened to in those kids, there was a lot of innuendo.
No, not this song I'm talking about.
Okay, maybe not that song. Because I think a lot of it was innuendo. A lot of it was like, if you know, you know. Dude, WAP, there was no, like, this was on 100%, like, this is audio porn is what this is.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm saying. You start to like there's a couple songs where you, Missy Elliott, Work It. Put my thing down, flip it in reverse. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there.
There is, but again, that's a lot of innuendo.
Okay.
Like, you got to know to know.
Well, I'm not going to air the song ever that I'm talking about, but when we're done, I will play this song for you. And if you've heard it, you'll be like, okay. Or if you haven't heard it and you think, dude, I'm telling you right now, like, it is, like, it describes what she wants you to do in with a beat. And well, I'm like, listen to this.
That's WAP.
Like, it is. It's just what I'm saying. It's the same thing. It was like a 90s version of WAP, right? But everybody's like, oh, WAP, it's on the radio. And I'm like, well, hang on. Like, when you really think about it, like...
No, it's true because... And I only
baby,
bring it
when
up.
we're grinding, I get so excited. Boy, how you like it. You know what I'm saying? We're dancing real close. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start to think of these songs, you're like, wait a minute, dude.
You're right. Like I said, again, with the whole like
Taylor Swift murder thing, it's just different.
It may be because I don't know the song you're talking about. I just anytime that I like almost want to say no to something, I'd be like, you know, I did that. And
I know. And then you get
turned out okay.
Bro, as your kids get older, it gets worse.
I know. I can't. Oh, dude, I'm really pushing it right now. The reason why I brought this whole Derek Thompson thing is because did you hear last maybe it was 2 weeks ago, within the last week or so, when Vivek Ramaswamy, the other Doge guy, went off on American culture and how we have to have less sleepovers and more math tutors and stuff like that. Where it's like, his whole thing is we worry too much about social part of life and we don't worry so much about the educational part in America specifically. And I want to say that, shut up, nerd. Listen, dude, you're a billionaire, so you feel like you can tell everyone the way they're supposed to raise their kids. But listen to me. We don't need more of that. What we need more of, we actually need more sleepovers. We need more time with people spent face to face.
I'm so tired of the education system in this country. Like, that's what we all fall back on. I love how they're like, well, you don't have a bachelor's degree, so you ain't worth shit. Huh? Like, what you mean to tell me my underwater basket weaving degree is better than your like trade? Like, get out of here. Like, all these guys, all college has become is institutionalized moneymaker. That is it.
Dude, the amount of money that we spend on education now versus, and I use this example. I remember my dad went to law school in like 1989, I think, when he enrolled. So it's not like this was back in the 70s.
Right.
Okay, 89. And I remember my dad told me what his entire law degree cost. His entire was about $5,000.
Yeah, not today.
You can't even take one class for $5,000.
Yeah, it's out of control.
It is insane. The amount of money that we spend on education in this country. No, I'm not saying don't go to school. That's what I'm saying.
No.
But we did start a lot of this off by talking about, listen, blue collar jobs are where it's at. You can make a lot of money without having to go to school for 4 years to come out with massive load of student debt that you may never get paid off. You're just hoping that Joe Biden reverses it before Donald Trump takes office. I mean, that's the kind of debt you're looking at because a lot of the degrees you get. Now, listen, I went to school. I got my 4-year degree. I got my bachelor's degree. I'm thinking about going back and getting a master's degree. My reason is not because I think it's going to make me a whole bunch more money, but also the reason why I haven't done it is because the amount of money it costs.
It's out of control.
And I just don't know. I'm like, is it worth the investment? A lot of degrees are not.
I don't even know if high school anymore is like on the right path. Like, I get at some point they've institutionalized. There has to be some kind of like level playing field for everybody, right? But Eric, when was the last time you divided fractions?
No, you're asking the wrong guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
do you do it?
Do you divide fractions? You do it. Your computer doesn't.
Well, I mean, I know how to use Excel.
Okay, so that's why
I know the process because the thing about Excel,
it does everything.
It does everything, but you also know know how to put it.
You have to know. You have to know the
formula to get
Absolutely.
to work.
But like when your kids are in high school and they like Lexi wants to be a cosmetologist, right? Maybe she'll have to know like some kind of like measuring stuff for that stuff, but like Why does she need to know how do you get the value of X out of these? And just like, at what point do we start realizing that our education system is not foster like any kind? I don't remember anything, Eric, from high school like that. Nothing. Like in my profession, now doctors, and there are people who need it. I'm not saying that, but the 90% of the population that go into the regular work field, business, trade system, blue collar working, they don't need half the crap we learn in freaking school. Like, I don't understand it.
Listen, I'm not going to totally push back on you on it, because a lot of the stuff you do learn is really something that's like, listen, is this really baseline for what I need in my life? Maybe not. But what'll happen a lot of times is you start taking a class that you didn't think you wanted to do anything to do with, and you may realize, well, I'm actually kind of good at this.
Right.
Like, I know how to do this. And if you weren't forced to take that class, you may not ever find that out. Because one of the things that I remember in high school thinking...
If you like chemistry, you're a nerd.
We need chemists. I mean...
But that's the thing. We need those. So that's great. But again, if you
didn't take it, though, would you know that you would be good at chemistry? Or would you know that it interests you?
I don't even know if I'd want to know what the periodic table of elements is, bro.
Well, here's the example I give. I remember in high school thinking I was terrible at math. No, I actually turned out to be very good at math when I got into college, because I had to take this course for my business degree, whatever it was. I had to take this one. But in high schools, I didn't care. I didn't try. I didn't apply myself. It was when I found out that I actually kind of had to. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to do this. This is kind of easy for me. Like, I can kind of figure this out. In high school, a lot of what in high school is you can kind of skate by about without really doing a whole lot, right?
I don't remember ever doing homework.
See, that's kind of a point. If there's one thing,
and I've made it okay.
If there's one thing I would say that I kind of agree with Vivek Ramaswamy is we don't put enough emphasis on high school in this country. We put way too much emphasis on college.
Well, and maybe that's ultimately maybe that's what I'm getting at more than anything is maybe we need to overhaul it to make it more practical. Like, why are we not learning about taxes all through high school, right?
I don't need you have to deal with in life.
I don't need geometry at all. That should be a tax class. Unless you're getting into something like architecture where you're going to need that and you know it, make it a senior year class and you need geometry because you need to know your angles. I'm sure there's some profession that needs it. I get it. But we all need to know taxes. We all need to know how to balance a budget. We should all know how to invest our money. We should all know these things, right? That's the kind of like mathematical classes or whatever that would be called that we should be going for, not this calculus. Bro, when would you ever use calculus in life? Like, I can't even figure out what career would need calculus outside of an astronaut who's trying to figure out how to get back from space.
Apollo 13.
Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay, here's my thing when I say like we put too much emphasis on college, not enough on high school. I think we should be making a lot of those things mandatory in high school. But I think we need to emphasize the fact that, listen, don't screw up for these 4 years you're in high school for two reasons. One, it's never coming back. You're never going to go back to a life in which you have no responsibilities.
Greatest time ever.
And it is 100% focused on figuring out what you're all about, figuring out what sports you may like or which ones you may not like. Like, learn if you like theater, bro, go for it. Because guess what? After this, you got to get a job. After high school, you got to get a job. And every educational part you want after high school is going to cost you an insane amount of money. So we need to focus more in on like, hey, listen, let's make high school so much more of the emphasis, not just high school, but like junior high. Like, listen, this is free education time. We need to make it so much more important that you actually want to take advantage of it to know whether or not you need to go to college. We put so much emphasis on go to college, go to college, go to college. It's like, I remember when I graduated high school, I had no idea what I wanted to go to college for. I went, but I didn't know what I wanted to go for. And I spent a lot of time wasting in college because I didn't know what I was going for. Versus like
blowing money.
So much money.
Well, that's the thing. Like if you take these kids, or like, why don't we have like the first 2 years of high school is essentially your prereqs, right? Or your gen ed classes, right? Whatever. And then the last 2 years, if you think you're going to get into concrete, you go to like trade stuff, concrete, plumbing, electrical.
That becomes
mechanic.
Even more specialized. I'm with you on this.
Let's just say, okay, hey, look, and have, because you've got cosmetology. I know they got nursing. I'm not exactly sure what EVIT offer, the East Valley Institute of Technology, I think it stands for. Yeah. But I don't know what they exactly all offer, but you've got girls. It's mostly girls that go to EVIT. I'm sure there's some welding class. I don't know.
Oh no, I know lots of dudes that went to EVIT. And
I
in
just
fact,
don't.
The ALA opened up their own version of EVIT.
That's what that is, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. That's what we should be doing. Something like where it's like you're teaching these kids actual things they're going to go into.
Yeah.
Because most of us have an idea what we want to do when we graduate, right? High school, at least maybe not for sure, but we kind of have a direction we want to go in. And then while you're in high school, the last 2 years, like, Allie's a great example, but she's kind of a unicorn, I think, in that sense, but she's known she wanted to be a nurse since she was younger, and she's finishing up high school with that whole program, right? Or Lexi wants cosmetology. So now she's starting as a junior next year. She's going into cosmetology. She will graduate and be able to make money at her own will and then finish going to school.
And you know the beauty of that? She might find out this isn't for me.
Exactly.
But she's doing it at a time in which it's free.
Yeah.
Like doing it in a high school age. Like, that's the thing that drives me nuts. Because again, for me, I didn't put near enough emphasis in what I wanted to do in high school because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
No.
And a lot of the things I was forced to do, I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to take this government class. I got to figure out how the government works. That's kind of important. I guess I've got to take, was it pre-calc?
You know what I didn't appreciate in high school, but I kind of wish I would have known more? Is the history.
I freaking love history.
I think that well, as a young kid, I didn't care. Like for me, it was like, what is the point? Like history's stupid. It's history.
It's already happened. Why do I care?
But it's crazy is when you get older, you learn that history repeats itself. We have patterns and societies rise and fall very similarly.
So fast. And they happen so fast.
Right. And all the way back from the empire days all the way to now, you see these large cultures go up and down. And it's not because, so at the time you don't realize that you're learning that stuff or what the purpose is, but as you get older, you're like, man, I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention in whatever class. Could be interesting to know how this is going to turn out, right? Because right now the U.S. is essentially the Greek Empire or whatever it is back, and then you're like, at what point are we going to fall?
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that we're there's a lot of areas that we're sticking our nose in that could have potentially horrific consequences. Right now, there are so many similarities to what's going on in the world right now than what happened right before the outbreak of World War II. Tons. And it is one of those instances where you say a lot of history is repeating itself, and it's kind of scary. With that, say fresh, you cheese bags.
I'm supposed to think of a new one.
I know, I didn't think of one either.
I was telling Lexi, I was like, I need to think of a new way to go out. And she's but the fat kid dodgeball thing's so just nostalgic, whatever she said.
Nostalgic? It's been for a year.
It's not nostalgic. It was some word she used, and I'm like,
classic? I don't know.
Man, I don't know. But I was like, I know you're right, but fat kids and dodgeball, we're out.
The JJ and Pug Show theme song was written, composed, and performed by Lane Hartman. Special thanks to Highland Communities for all the support given to our show. You can find the JJ and Pug Show podcast wherever you do listen to podcasts. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember to share the show with your friends and family and subscribe wherever you do listen. If you're able to, please feel free to support us by sending a donation to us by going to ko-fi.com/the JJ and Pug Show. That is ko-fi.com/the JJ and Pug Show. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for all the support, whether that is by simply listening, whether that is sharing it with a friend, or giving us that sweet, sweet cash. We truly appreciate it all. Thank you so much.